A billionaire who claimed to be impotent meets a 5-year-old boy who looks exactly like him. But when he asks the child who his father is, the boy's answer turns his entire world upside down. If you're just tuning in, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us where you're watching from. Regina opened the adjoining guest room door. Her world stopped. There, in their marital bed, was Ben, her husband-to-be, tangled in sheets with her maid of honor, Naomi. The same Naomi she had once called sister. The same Naomi who cried with her during the bridal shower. Her throat dried. Regina whispered, barely audible. "Ben?" Ben jumped up like a thief caught in the act, fumbling to wear his boxers. Naomi, unbothered, stretched lazily and sat up, completely unashamed. "It's not what it looks like," Ben blurted, stepping forward. Regina blinked. Her heart thumped like a war drum in her chest. "Then please," she said, trembling, "tell me what it is, Ben." Naomi scoffed. "Please, a beg. You weren't even sleeping with him. 6 months of celibacy? Girl, what did you expect?" "Shut up," Ben barked at Naomi. But it was too late. The damage was done. Tears streamed down Regina's face. Her chest heaved as if the air itself betrayed her. She turned and fled past the room, past the corridor, down the stairs, and straight into the outdoor wedding venue where guests sat waiting. Heads turned. The bride was running through white petals, over heels, holding the hem of her dress. The whispers grew. Phones fell. Gasps followed her like shadows. She disappeared into the streets of Surulere, a ghost bride with mascara-stained cheeks and a broken heart. Later that evening, in her cousin Ama's apartment, Regina sat slouched on the floor in her wedding dress. The zipper was still halfway. Her hands were numb, her voice gone. She stared at the wall like it could answer her questions. Ama poured her a drink. "Girl," Ama said, sitting beside her, "if you cry anymore, we'll need a canoe in this room." Regina managed a weak laugh. "I can't believe this is my story." "You better believe it. You dodged a walking disaster with a receding hairline." "But we had plans, Ama, and God had better ones. Look at you. Beautiful, brilliant, strong. Regina, your name literally means queen. You're a queen, not some weak damsel begging for crumbs." Regina wiped her tears. "I feel like a joke." "You're not a joke. He is. And Naomi? That snake? Pfft. May her wig never stay straight again." That night, Regina cried in Ama's arms, until her body gave up and sleep took over. A few days later, Ama walked into Regina's room with a plan. "Dress up, we're going out." "No." "Yes." "No, Ama, I'm not in the mood." "Too bad. You'll never be in the mood. Life doesn't wait for moods, baby girl. It moves. You either chase it or it leaves you behind." That evening, the sisters in spirit walked into Club de Nova on Victoria Island. The music was loud, the lights hypnotic, and the dance floor alive. Regina hesitated. "Don't think, just feel," Ama whispered, pushing her in. And so Regina danced. She danced like her pain had rhythm, like her heartbreak had a beat, like she was shedding skin, reborn under the neon lights. She twirled and laughed, a woman finally free of betrayal. At the bar, a man named Luis watched her. With curly brown hair, a clean jawline, and a contagious smile, he had the type of energy that made everyone want to know him. Luis was the kind of man that didn't just walk into a room, he owned it. He turned to his friend. "That girl, in the white blouse, she's dancing like she just buried something." His friend laughed. "Maybe she buried her ex." Luis chuckled, sipped his drink, and moved toward her. He reached her. "Hi," he said, his eyes twinkling. "You're beautiful." Regina paused. "Is that a line?" "No," Luis replied, smiling. "It's the truth." They danced, they laughed, they drank. The night blurred. The next morning, Regina woke up in her apartment, alone, head pounding, clothes still on, but her memory? Blank. she asked Amma. How did we get home? Amma grinned. I dragged myself in. But you, my dear, practically begged that fine boy to take you home. You wouldn't stop holding his hand. Wait, what boy? The guy from the club, Mr. Curly Hair. You told him to stay till morning. I did? Amma nodded. I think something happened, Reggie. Number Y was still wearing my dress. Still doesn't mean... Regina held her head. Amma, I feel so stupid. Weeks passed. Then came the shocker. Regina stood in front of the bathroom mirror with 2 pregnancy tests, both positive. Her hands trembled. Amma's eyes bulged. Jesus is Lord. No, Amma, this is not funny. But Ben and you were celibate for 6 months. I know, Amma whispered, stunned. Then, the guy from the club. Regina's heart sank. I don't even know his name. Amma tried to remember, but the night was a blur. Regina slumped. What do I do? Amma squeezed her hand. You do what queens do. You rise. You fight. You carry this child like a badge of honor. Regina looked down at her belly. Maybe this baby was God's way of giving her light after betrayal. I'll keep the baby, she whispered. And just like that, her journey began. Not as a wife, but as a mother. 2 months after the pregnancy test turned positive, Regina's life had taken a sharp turn. Gone were the days she dreamt of a fairy tale wedding. Now, every day was a choice, to rise or to break. She wore her uniform like armor, walked into the hospital like a soldier, and handled patients with the kind of grace that made her admired. One evening, after finishing her shift, she rubbed her growing belly and smiled. I don't know who your father is, she whispered, but I know who I am. And I promise you this you'll never lack love. Amma, perched on the kitchen counter eating chin-chin, snorted. Nah, so? Look at you talking to your stomach like he's already born. He's listening, Regina replied, smiling. My baby's a genius. He better be, with all that jollof and ice cream you've been feeding him. Then came the 9th month, and with it came UCHE. He arrived with a cry so loud the nurse beside Regina gasped. He gets strong voice, oh, she said. Regina wept when she saw him, a tiny baby with brown curly hair, soft glowing dark skin. She kissed him. UCHE, she whispered. My happiness. The nurses gathered around. He was one of those babies people just stopped to admire. His big, curious eyes, his thick brows and lashes, his calm nature, even as a newborn. He too fine, they all said. Amma barged into the hospital room with Puff Puff and Zobo screaming, Where is my nephew? I hope he looks like me. She paused when she saw him. Oh, wow, she whispered. He's beautiful. Then she looked at Regina, confused. But why does he look like a half-caste Messi with curly hair? Regina, are you sure his papa isn't Ronaldo? Regina laughed for the first time in days. I don't know who he looks like, Amma. I don't even remember the guy properly. Well, we'll know eventually, Amma muttered. UCHE grew fast. By the time he turned 4, he was bold, brilliant, and had his mother's wit and Amma's mischief. He asked questions nonstop. Mummy, where's my daddy? Regina would take a deep breath, smile, and say, He's far away, baby. Working hard. For you. But why doesn't he call me? He's busy. Too busy for me? Regina would hug him tightly. Never. You're unforgettable. UCHE didn't stop asking. He asked the gateman, the neighbor, the fruit seller, and of course he asked Amma. Auntie Amma, do you think my daddy is Superman? Amma would smile, ruffle his curly hair, and say, With that big head of yours, your daddy might just be Thanos. Regina was working a double shift, and UCHE, now 5, was spending time in the hospital creche as usual. Regina had just finished attending to a patient when she heard a nurse shout, UCHE! No running in the hallway! Before she could reach him, UCHE had zoomed out of the creche, barefoot and giggling. He ran through the corridor and boom bumped into a man. An old man in a wheelchair. Loving the story so far? Then do us a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so you never miss another of these powerful African tales. Flanked by two stern-looking bodyguards. He wore a designer agbada and had silver hair, but his face was warm, kind, and regal. UCHE, ever fearless, looked up. "Sorry, sir," the man chuckled. "Why do you look so much like me, young man?" UCHE grinned. "Maybe because we're both fine." The old man laughed so hard his chest shook. "What's your name?" "UCHE. It means happiness." "Well, UCHE, you look like a grandson I never had," he said, pulling out a wad of dollars from his pocket and placing it in UCHE's palm. Just then, Regina ran in. "I'm so sorry, sir. He ran out of the creche." The old man waved her off. "No harm done." "He's a bright child. You must be his mother." Regina nodded, gently pulling UCHE to her side. The man nodded in admiration. "You're doing a good job." He turned to leave, his guards pushing him slowly toward the elevator. Amma appeared like a whisper beside Regina. "Do you know who that is?" "No." "That's Mr. Dominic, the owner of this hospital." Regina's mouth fell open. "Wow, he's so down to earth. And rich as hell," Amma whispered. "Like Lagos Island rich." That evening, in a luxurious mansion in Banana Island, Mr. Dominic sat with his son, Luis. Yes, Luis. The same Luis from the club. The same one Regina had danced with 5 years ago. "You should visit the hospital soon," Mr. Dominic said. "Dad, I've been meaning to. Just trying to finish paperwork for the company handovers." "I'm serious, Luis. You need to start thinking about family. You're not getting any younger." Luis shrugged. "What do you want me to do?" "You know I can't have children." "There are other ways. Adoption. But your heart, it's too kind to be empty forever." Luis sipped his wine, thoughtful. "I'll go to the hospital tomorrow, just to see how things are." Mr. Dominic smiled. "Good. You'll like what you find there." If only he knew how prophetic those words were. The next day arrived with the kind of sun that made Lagos shimmer like gold. Luis stepped into the hospital, flanked by 2 of his assistants. His presence turned heads. Tall, confident, and dressed in a navy blue suit with a touch of modern flair, Luis carried the aura of a man who didn't chase the room, he owned it. The hospital staff were prepared. The director had sent out memos, nurses wore their best uniforms, and everyone rehearsed their greetings like it was a red carpet event. But Luis, he was only interested in 2 things, making a good impression and leaving quickly. That was the plan, until he saw her. Regina. She was in the pediatric ward, bent over a child's bed, adjusting an IV line. Her hair was pulled into a neat bun, her white coat crisp. He cleared his throat. Regina looked up. Their eyes locked. The room disappeared. Regina froze. The tray in her hand wobbled slightly, almost slipping. Her heart thundered. It couldn't be. His face hadn't changed, still striking, with those same brown eyes and the exact curl pattern and thick brows UCHE now had. Her mind screamed 1,000 thoughts in 1 second. "Oh my God," she whispered. Luis wasn't sure why, but the moment he saw her, he couldn't look away. Something about her felt familiar. Regina was battling internally. Should I tell him now? Not like this. Not here. As Luis prepared to leave, he lingered outside the nurse's station and spoke quietly with one of the supervisors. "What can you tell me about that nurse?" pointing. The supervisor blinked, unsure how to answer. "Regina? She's one of our best. Dedicated, focused. Everyone loves her." He thanked the supervisor and walked out of the hospital, but his mind remained behind with her. Later that evening, Regina sat at home trying to distract herself with cooking. UCHE, ever the curious child, sat on the kitchen counter, munching plantain chips. Mummy, why are you smiling to yourself? I'm not, she said, blushing. Yes, you are. Are you thinking about my daddy? Regina nearly choked on her stew. Amma burst into laughter from the living room. This boy no get filter. Regina turned sharply. Ooh yee, I told you your daddy is abroad. Regina sat across Amma while having dinner. I met him today. Amma jumped up. Wait, who? Don't tell me it's... Regina nodded slowly. Luis. Amma gasped. It's him? The club guy? Uyi's father? I think so, Regina said, eyes glistening. Amma walked to her, her playful tone gone. So, what's the plan? I don't know, Amma. He's Mr. Dominic's son. He's also super rich, and I don't know how to even tell him. What if he thinks I used him? Amma scoffed. Regina, you were heartbroken, drunk, and dumped. You didn't use anyone. You didn't even know who he was. He deserves to know everything now. It was 10:43 a.m. on a humid Thursday in Lagos when Luis strutted into the hospital like he owned the building, because technically he did. But that day, he came not as the boss's son. No boardroom plans, no urgent emails, just one mission: to see her again. Luis' faint voice clutching his chest. I think I'm burning up. Fever. A strong one, but I need a specific nurse. The receptionist, an overworked woman named Sheila, looked up unimpressed by his act, smiled and asked, Name of nurse? Regina, Luis answered. Sheila blinked slowly. Sir, Nurse Regina is in the children's ward, very busy. Luis placed a hand on his forehead like he was in an old Nollywood movie. Luis groaning, Tell her I'm dying slowly, but I'll wait. Regina stepped into the room and stopped cold. The sight of Luis on the bed, her thoughts were spiraling. Does he remember now? Why send for me? What does he want? Luis sat up dramatically and grinned like a child caught stealing meat. Thank God, you came. I thought I was about to cross over. Regina raised a brow but said nothing. She grabbed her stethoscope, trying to mask her shaking fingers. Her heart was racing, her mind screaming, but she kept her face still. She pressed the instrument against his chest. Your temperature is normal, Regina said softly. Luis smirked. So, not dying? She looked at him, deadpan. Not even close. He chuckled and shifted to sit up straighter, voice lowering. Okay, maybe I lied. Maybe I just wanted to see you again. Regina stared up at him, shocked. Now her heart was beating even faster. They began talking, cautiously at first, like two people holding fragile glass. Then laughter came easier, lighter. He told her about taking over his father's company soon, how he'd be spending more time at the hospital. She teased him about his accent that didn't know whether it belonged in Surulere or San Diego. Luis laughed. Fair enough. I was in the States for 3 years. PhD stuff, came back recently. A silence fell. Not awkward, something warmer. Familiar. You love working with kids, don't you? Luis asked softly. Regina nodded, gaze distant. They remind me that pain isn't permanent, that laughter can still grow where things were once broken. That's why I asked to stay in the children's ward. Luis smiled. You'd make a great mom. She gave a light chuckle. You'd make a great dad. Silence again, but this one heavier. I used to think so too, but I can't have children, Luis said quietly, almost a whisper. Regina blinked. Her smile vanished. What do you mean? Luis looking away. I'm infertile. It's medical. My dad wants me to adopt, but I haven't found the strength. I haven't told many people, don't even know why I'm telling you. Her breath caught. Her brain screamed now. Tell him. But how? So she asked a different question. Luis, do you remember July 19th, 2021? Luis tilted his head. Yeah, my best friend's birthday. We hit a club in June. Wait, why? Regina's voice shook. Because I was there. Luis's eyes widened. Wait, you were the girl in the white blouse? The one dancing like she was setting the floor on fire? She nodded slowly. Luis exhaled. You were unforgettable. He laughed softly, then stopped. We talked. You told me things. Then you asked me to take you home. Said not to leave until morning. You were bold. You kissed me first. Regina's voice was barely a whisper. What happened that night? Luis sighed, eyes sincere. We connected. You were broken, but it felt meaningful. When I woke up, you were asleep. I didn't want to disturb you, so I left a note. Regina shocked. There was no note. I left it on the bedside table. It must have... God, you never saw it, Luis said, frowning. They stared at each other, the silence between them thick with everything unsaid. Then, Luis smiled softly. It's really, really good to see you again. You're still as beautiful as that night. Regina swallowed hard. Her chest rose and fell. Luis, you're not infertile. He blinked, then laughed, confused, dry. Regina, please, I've had tests. Years ago. She cut him off gently. Okay, maybe you weren't for one night. You have a child. The words fell heavy. Luis's smile vanished. What? A boy. His name is UCHE. Luis stood slowly, stunned. Regina, are you saying... Yes. She took a shaky step back, her voice cracking. I tried to find you, but I didn't even get your name that night. All I had was a memory and a child that looked too much like someone I couldn't name. Luis's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked like someone who'd just been pulled from the sea. Regina led him down the hallway. The moment they stepped in, the world slowed. There, seated on a colorful mat, stacking Legos and telling the nurse beside him a story about how plantains were superior to bread, was UCHE. The little boy looked up and froze. So did Luis. Same hair, same eyes, same stubborn chin. Mummy, that man is handsome like me, UCHE said, pointing. Regina knelt beside him, heart pounding. Sweetheart, this is your daddy. UCHE blinked. Really? Luis dropped to his knees, tears brimming in his eyes, voice trembling. Yes, I am. UCHE stared, then broke into a wide grin. You're fine like me. Luis let out a broken laugh and pulled him into a hug. He clutched the boy like he was holding time itself, like 5 years of absence were pouring into that single moment. Regina stood behind them, her hand covering her mouth. For the first time in years, she let the tears fall freely. Luis sat at the hospital cafeteria later that evening, his hands still trembling from the discovery. Across from him sat Regina, her fingers loosely wrapped around a cup of tea. Between them sat UCHE, curious eyes darting between these two grown-ups who suddenly looked like they were in a telenovela. Neither had said a word for a while. Luis leaned forward. Regina, you gave birth to my son. You raised him alone. You worked hard, sacrificed, and gave him joy. I may be his father by blood, but you're the hero in this story. She blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected tenderness in his words. Before Regina could answer, UCHE smacked the table with his small hand. Wait, so you're my daddy? Like, real? Not the imaginary one Mummy always says is in Canada? UCHE! Regina gasped, nearly choking on her tea. Luis burst into laughter. Yes, real. I'm your dad. UCHE narrowed his eyes, analyzing him. But can you fight? Because my classmate's dad has serious muscles. I box sometimes, Luis said with a grin. Good. Protect us. Also, buy me ice cream. And a remote control car. That's how trust starts. Deal, Luis laughed. UCHE grinned. Welcome to the family, Daddy. No refunds. Luis turned to Regina, voice warm and sincere. I want to be in his life, every single part of it. Regina smiled finally. Then let's start with lunch this Saturday. He loves amala. Luis chuckled as he looked at UCHE. He's truly my son. The weeks that followed were magical. Luis took to fatherhood like he'd been born for it. UCHE adored him. The two became inseparable. From school pickups to evening strolls, Lagos soon knew the duo, the millionaire and his miniature twin. And Regina, she blossomed. With Luis's support, she rose to become head nurse. Her confidence returned. Her smile was constant. The pain of her past no longer defined her, it strengthened her. But life, as always, had more chapters to write. One rainy morning, the hospital reception buzzed. The glass door swung open, wind and rain chasing in a woman dressed like a Lagos influencer, but walking like someone carrying heavy secrets. Her heels clacked. Her wig sat too high. Her bag, faded, scratched, borrowed, maybe. "Good morning. I'm here for the nursing interview." Standing at the reception was Amma, trying to make herself coffee. She squinted. Then her eyes widened. "Naomi? As in, maid of honor turned betrayal queen Naomi?" Naomi flipped her stiff hair and forced a smile. "Yes. Naomi Ogundale, graduate of nursing school. First class, thank you very much." Amma eyeing her outfit. First class second-hand bag. Got a full circle, I see what you're doing." Naomi's voice dropped an octave, less proud, more pleading. "Naomi, I just need to speak with whoever is in charge. Please." "Naomi, you? You want to work here, at this hospital?" Amma asked, almost laughing. Naomi's brow furrowed. "Yes, problem?" "No, oh," Amma smirked. "Interview is upstairs, just walk straight into the lion's den." Naomi rolled her eyes and strutted off. Naomi gathered herself and walked, less of a strut, more of a survival march. But as soon as she opened the door to the executive office, she froze. Sitting on the chair, poised, powerful, polished, was Regina. Naomi's jaw dropped. "You?" Regina smiled. "Yes, me." "You work here?" Naomi asked, voice rising in disbelief. Regina tilted her head. "Oh, I don't just work here, I run this place." Naomi blinked rapidly. "You're the head nurse?" "No," Regina said calmly. "I'm the director of nursing services, promoted last month. I now sit on the hospital's board." Naomi looked like she had swallowed a pepper. Regina leaned back. "Now, I see here you applied for a senior nurse position." Naomi's confidence crumbled. I didn't know." "That you'd be reporting to me?" Regina asked. "Oh, how the tables turn." "I didn't come to fight, Regina. Life hasn't been kind. Please. I need this job. Things haven't been easy." Regina raised a hand. "Relax. This isn't a war zone. I'm a professional. We're just conducting interviews." Naomi fidgeted. "I deserve this chance. I've changed." Regina's smile faded. "Let me ask you a question, Naomi. When you betrayed me on my wedding day, was that the version of you that deserves a second chance?" Naomi looked down. "No." Regina nodded. "Exactly. But here's the thing, I'm not God. I don't judge eternally." She picked up Naomi's CV, looked at it, then set it down. There was silence. Then Regina added with a grin, "Besides, we're not hiring at the moment." Naomi stood, swallowing back tears. "Please, I don't even have transport fare home." Regina paused, then stood, walked to her drawer, and handed Naomi a folded 1,000 naira note. "Take this, and take your time to reflect. Some betrayals echo longer than apologies." Naomi took it, silent, humiliated. Naomi walked out, running straight into Amma, who offered a slow, sarcastic clap. "How far? You don't collect your karma letter? Betrayal. Your karma just clocked in. We will make sure you don't get any job in this Lagos." Meanwhile, Ben, Regina's ex, sat in his one-room apartment in Ikeja, nursing a half-empty bottle of gin. The TV buzzed, showing a charity gala hosted by Dominic and Sons Medical Foundation. On the screen, Luis, holding UCHE, with Regina beside him. Ben's hand trembled as he touched the screen. That should have been me. But it never could have been. Because some people lose diamonds while chasing stones. A year passed. Luis and Regina had grown even closer, bound by their son, their history, and their healing. One evening, in front of close friends, hospital staff, and family, Luis went down on one knee at a beautiful outdoor rooftop decorated with fairy lights and said, "Regina, you walked into my life with broken wings but flew anyway. You gave me a son, you gave me love, marry me." Regina, tears rolling, nodded. "Yes." The crowd erupted. UCHE jumped up and shouted, "Finally!" Amma screamed, "It's giving fairy tale!" Even Mr. Dominic, now retired and full of joy, dabbed his eyes. About time! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share with your friends. This is Firewood Stories, and we'll be back soon with another jaw-dropping story. But for now, it's goodbye.